What's going on, Jeromes? So my wife got me this jacket for Christmas, and it's fantastic. I feel like every person in the great state of Minnesota and the Midwest writ large needs to have one of these because, I mean, they're oversized, and you wear them when you're smoking meat or grilling. You wear it when you're smoking other stuff, and it smells like gasoline and diesel. Like, this is the all-purpose like garage jacket, and it's fantastic. I love it. So diving on in, this is not the news dump. This is Q&A. Nailed it. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. You guys are the best. Ray Petty, even though I'd love to see the Vikings beat the Lions this Sunday and secure the number 1 seed in the playoffs, there's no question. That's it. No. Beat the Lions, ass, 1 seed, NFC North. That's the goal. The team has struggled historically after the bye week. How can Kevin O'Connell address the issue and improve our performance coming off the break? So, this line of questioning bothers me for a couple reasons. Struggled historically after the bye week. Okay, well, where's the data? Also, what do the 1988 Vikings have to do with the 2024 Vikings? Like, I know trends and forces and all that stuff, but it's ridiculous. Like, Kevin O'Connell is 2-1 off a bye as head coach of the Vikings, 2022, 23, 24, and his only loss is by that 2-point blowout by the Lions week 7. This year. Also, off the mini bye, Thursday Night Football to next week's games, he's also 2-1. So there isn't empirical evidence that the Vikings struggle off the bye from Kevin O'Connell. Now, historically, you have to look at teams who do get that bye, whether it's the 1 seed since they went to 7 or the 1 and 2 when they went to 6. And yeah, some teams do struggle. And the whole thing about it is ring rust and stagnation and all that stuff. But I think overall, it is a positive where you get players back to fitness, whether they have injuries that could have precluded them from playing during the wild card, or that they have some minor injuries that get them back to at or near 100%. I think it's a smart way to do it. I remember Tony Romo when he was quarterback of the Cowboys just went to Cancun or Cabo with like Jessica Simpson when the Cowboys had either the 1 or 2 seed and had the bye week. Yeah, don't do that. It's bad optics. And also, you will get eaten alive if and when you lose, and the Cowboys often did. All right, so I think it's more of a blessing than a curse getting that bye. Next up, news in 60 seconds. Also, not only do you get the bye, you get home field advantage, and that could be up to 2 games in front of your own fans. That's huge. That's massive. Next, news in 60 seconds. Do you feel that NFL officials have reached a point where it is time for teams to be able to challenge penalties called on the field to allow games to be decided by players rather than the referee who made a bad call or missed an obvious call? I like what they do with expedited review in terms of like catch, no catch, things like that. I think that I think they should go to the VAR model that Premier League and soccer uses. As I'm seeing Jurgen Klopp in a Travago commercial. That's awesome, man. Where there is an eye in the sky. The NFL does have that to a degree. Expedited review. They have the extra referee up in the booth. I think that's more what you're going to see as opposed to a challenge. And it's not going to come down to defensive holding or offensive holding. It's not going to come down to DPI because I think those are way too subjective. But face masks, I think, will be on the table. And I think clear and obvious stuff like that. But it can be a can of worms because, I mean, you could literally call a defensive holding or DPI or offensive holding on every single play. And are we just going to challenge every single play? Nah. But the major ones, they should and could get right. I think that they will rectify that. Next, Karen Hardy. What do you think will happen? First off, Karen's a lovely name. I feel bad for the Karens around the world where the name Karen has turned into just like, I'd like to see the manager. It's like if you were named Jeffrey Dahmer and then Jeffrey Dahmer happened and you're like, it's like Office Space when the guy's name is Michael Bolton. It's like, why don't you change your name? Why should I change my name? No, he should change his name. He's the one who sucks. Anyways, what do you think will happen with the quarterback controversy? Sam goes somewhere else for big money. Vikings roll with JJ and Danny Jones. I don't know. Like, I truly feel that Sam Darnold has shown enough that he has been a franchise quarterback, and he's exactly what you want. And this is... I feel like it's a unreasonable argument to say, well, it's just going to be the same as Kirk Cousins. No. I mean, if you can't see the difference between a soon-to-be 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles versus a 27-year-old, going to be 28-year-old quarterback who's flexed as a MVP finalist as well as a top 5 quarterback, like, I truly have nothing for you. All right. And with Darnold, I mean, Darnold hasn't gotten that big payday yet, except I don't know if he's just all about the money. He's a little bit about the money, like everyone is, and securing your family tree long term with a deal. I mean, that's great, but this is not. I don't see it as a Kirk Cousins situation where he just literally hoovers up every single nickel available. I think that Darnold is a pragmatist, and I think that he realizes that, hey, my career was saved by coming here to the Vikings, and I can have great success in this spot. Kevin O'Connell's going to be here, whether Josh McCown or Phillips or whoever leaves, and Jefferson long-term, Hawkinson long-term, Addison is only in year 2 of his 5-year rookie deal, Darisaw long-term, Brian O'Neill long-term, so I can plant my ass here and have great success. Now, do I want to go somewhere else? Do I want to go to the Raiders or the Giants, back to the New York market, or the Titans for a couple dollars more? Depends on what a couple dollars is. Now, everyone has their price. Would Darnold stay here for $5 million less than some other places? Maybe, even with the state taxes. Or, I mean, would he go somewhere else for $10 million more? Yes. I mean, at a certain point, the money's the money, right? But I think what's going to happen is I truly believe that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, I think that they want him back. I think that the way Darnold has played so far this year, and yes, the playoffs do matter too, obviously, but what he's put on wax so far has changed the calculus. Like, he was going to be the bridge quarterback. Maybe he doesn't even start all year. J.J. McCarthy, yada, yada, but things change. And Darnold has proven he is a top 5, top flight quarterback, man. And this is what made him the number 3 overall pick. And this is not a Case Keenum situation, because everyone knew Case Keenum, undersized, weak arm, lots of moxie, really fun story, but you're not going to build your franchise around Case. Plus, I think Case was 29 or 30 at the time, somewhere in there. I mean, Darnold still has 5, 6, 7 solid years of his prime, maybe even more. All right, so that's something you do have to factor in. So I think what the Vikings are going to do, kind of similar to Kurt, they're going to offer him a deal. If you can get more, if you want to take more, God bless. But also, if it comes down to it, hey, if you want to leave, we can tag and trade you. By the way, people get this confused too. If you tag and then trade a player, that counts 0 on your salary cap. Nada, right? Because the new team takes on they won't play him on the tag. They'll negotiate a long-term deal. And also, it's not doing him dirty. It's literally part of the business. I mean, Kirk Cousins was tagged twice in Washington. No one said boop, right? Or he could just play on the tag. I don't know. Well, lots of options right now. I still believe in J.J. McCarthy. He's not moving either way. And Daniel Jones, if Darnold leaves and he's gone, then bring Daniel Jones in to be the backup. There you go. Anthony James. Jared Goff has no mobility, so ideally you blitz his arse. But if you are Flores next week, how do you maintain a heavy blitz-orientated defense with screen assassin Gibbs in the backfield? I think you almost have to operate the defense like the Giants did with Thurman Thomas and the Bills in the Super Bowl way back in the day, like the Patriots did with Marshall Faulk in 2001 in the Super Bowl. Jared Goff is the most irrelevant quarterback in the National Football League. 5 interceptions, you still win. 5 touchdowns, you lose. Jahmyr Gibbs, now that Montgomery's out, Jahmyr Gibbs is the offense. So spy him. Have someone assigned to him long time, whether it's Pace, Metellus, Cashman, and every single time he gets out there, hit him. Just let him. Don't be dirty, obviously, but let him know that you are there, because that's where the offense operates through. And in terms of blitzing, I mean, it's great, except the Lions' offensive line is legitimate. I think what the Vikings can do is show those bluff blitz looks and just really confuse where the pressure is going to come from. Lions' offense is great, but if you can get a couple of those through, where you're up in the line of scrimmage with 7, 8 bodies, and you're only bringing 4, but they don't know which 4, and you can get some confusion, and you're playing coverage on the back end, a lot of exotic and erotic stuff that Goof has tough times with, I think that's how you can get after things. I don't think that it is smart to just do consistently 5-6 man blitzes, because Lions offensive line, especially if they're too predictable, they can pick that up, and Goof can just distribute to the open man. And also, this is where Amon St. Brown really makes his money. And Laporta too, kind of. Lastly, Scott, we kicked the Packers' arse, but the score ended up being close again. Should we be worried about the prevent defense going to the playoffs? If so, what does Flo need to do to sort it out? So it's not so much the prevent defense, because obviously Flores is still getting after things, but it's just the optics of it is not great. Now, part of it is the enemy gets a vote, and the Packers were revved up, ready to go. They made good adjustments, and they got after things, and they went a little bit of tempo, and you've seen it where Seattle game 2. Sometimes this defense, it is a little bit older. They don't rotate a ton, and especially if you want to play a lot of man coverage, with corners like Gilly, Shaq's a little bit older too. It's a little bit tough. I mean, man-to-man coverage and chasing around a receiver for 50, 60 snaps a game, that's a young man's game, right? And the Vikings have thrived a lot with Shaq, and especially with Gilly when they played a lot of zone, because Gilmore still has all of those football instincts, and I think that would be smart to, even if it was, playing a lot more man was part of the game plan, just going zone blitz, still being able to be aggressive and get after things in that 2-minute situation, or when the other team's in catch-up mode. Because, I mean, that became a pretty near-run thing there towards the end. And when the Vikings were up 17 and then the Packers just marched down, it's just like, it's not looking good. But also the offense and special teams didn't do them a ton of favors either. Reichard missing the field goal, and even though it was 67 and 62-yard touchdown drives, I believe, I mean, that's still not full length of the field, so that's a little bit shorter. But yeah, it's something that Flores, like, if we fans know it's a problem, Flores obviously knows it's a problem, and so does everyone out there on that field. So I do think it's a spot where they'll get things sutured up and be ready to go. But that's it. That's at Q&A Bay. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.